All right, this video might be a little bit sloppy. I'm not sure, but I'm going to do my best. If you've been following me for a while, and even in some of my recent videos, I've talked about how I've been using gematria, Hebrew gematria, and Greek isosophy to turn scripture into literal sound. And it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. If you don't know, I've been talking about it recently, but I am a audio engineer by training. I went to Full Sail University in Orlando, or actually Winter Park, Florida, back in the late 90s. And so sound and music has always kind of been at the center of my life. And back in December, around Christmas, God started to really open up his word to me through in the Hebrew and in the Greek. And I really started to understand, man, I've been missing out on the vast majority of the Bible here, because when you understand the Bible in Hebrew in the Old Testament and Greek in the New Testament, it's just a whole nother world. And of course, I'm nowhere near fluent in these languages. I'm just trying to learn and use tools online for translations that help me better understand what the simple English words that are in our Bible really meant in their native languages. And so God then took me from that to really understanding how Hebrew and Greek are both alphanumeric languages, and every letter is also attached a number. And each one is equally important. Now, English is different. English is not an alphanumeric language. It's just a language. And the letters are the letters. And so when people talk about gematria in Hebrew, that's simply the numbers that are attached to each letter in their alphabet that spell out words, right? It's really that simple. And people talk about it like it's like this evil occultic or something thing. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's used that way, but it's not. I mean, the enemy uses everything for evil, anything good for evil. And then in Greek, the same thing is called isosophy. And again, it's an alphanumeric language, and it's every letter is also a number. And so every word has a number value. Every word has a number value, both in Hebrew and Greek. So I was really understanding that, like, I've always known about gematria. I always thought it was just kind of weird, like people just threw numbers together and made them make them mean something somehow, and you could kind of twist it however you wanted, is kind of how I looked at it. But I never looked much into it until December, and God really started to open up to me. Well, then, me being who I am with sound, it was like God was like, wait, no, there's another level to this, because you have to remember, God is everything, including sound. God is mighty sound. Yahweh, He is sound and power and energy. And so is His Word. And God is the Word. He is the Word. And so the Word also is sound. He's like, Travis, it's so simple. And He showed me what to do. And I want to walk through it today, because I want to kind of empower you. If you're interested in this, I may be talking to two people right now. I don't know. It's like a brand new thing. I mean, I never knew this existed, but it's real. It's very real. I've done a bunch of scriptures like this, including the one you're looking at your screen right now, Genesis 1:1-8, the first and second day. And that one is so thick and packed with sound, like it clips. It clips digital. It's like I maxed out digital with the intensity of that file, but when you listen to it and you read the word along with it slowly, as it builds and builds and builds, and you literally can hear the sound of creation. It's unbelievable. What and I don't know if I'm the only one that hears it, but geez, it's crazy. But you got to be so careful with these files, because they're so dense and so powerful. You really, really could hurt your ears. You really could. It takes some time to adjust. Like with this Genesis 1:1-8 file here, to get through the whole 6 minutes and 48 seconds, after I built the file, using gematria and sine waves. Oh, so I didn't finish that. So then what God showed me is that that every word, the number value for every word in sound is a sine wave, S-I-N-E, a sine wave, just a single beep, so every word has a sine wave based upon its gematria or isosophy translation, right, into numbers. And so when you combine all those, and the words build upon the words, one right after the other, and the words being sound, the sine waves building one upon the other, it just creates this awesome glory. That is the Word. And the Word is our God. And so that's why this stuff just hits me so hard. But I understand it's new. It's hard to, and when I first came on this, man, I didn't give any explanation. I didn't anything. I just started throwing these files out there like one right after the other because it's just what I felt God leading me to do, and do now, explain later kind of thing. And I didn't really know quite how to explain it yet then, and don't think I would have had the patience to do it because I was so digging into it myself and learning myself. And I think these sound files are really powerful. They're really powerful, and they could be something we need at some point. If you go back into some of my old videos about my fears about sonic attacks and things like that might be coming, these are things that can cut right through that. And the cool thing is, if we get enough people that are interested in doing this and working on, these scriptures, man, we can get a lot of scriptures done. So I'm going to walk you through, the basics of how it's done. And it's really pretty simple, I think. Maybe it won't look so simple to some of you. I don't know. But I want to walk you through how it's done. And then, maybe you can kind of play around with it and see. But like I was saying about this Genesis 1 through 8 file, I built the whole file, following gematria and the sine waves and the things I'll show you here. And man, it took me a long time to be able to listen through the whole thing. I wanted to get through it at around 11% volume with my headphones on. And I've got a really good set of studio headphones. And so it's even more intense, I think, with what I have. But so yeah, it took me a couple of days to get all the way to the end at 11% because your ears literally need to be adjusted to it. And ever since I've been into this, I find that my ears have opened up. My ears have opened up, and I'm hearing things in the air that I didn't know were there, as far as frequencies and things like that we just have always ignored and never realized all the frequencies flying around us constantly, even coming out of light bulbs and things like that. I just noticed those things way more than I ever have, and you just you have to kind of adjust to that. It's not that big a deal. It's just an adjustment, but it's more than worth the adjustment to understand the sound and glory of the Word. It's just unbelievable. Okay, so what we do, and we'll just pick a random scripture here, and I don't know that I necessarily want to go. I'm not going to build the whole file. I'm just going to get you started on how it was done and or how it's done. And then you can start, if you'd like, pick a scripture, pick your favorite scripture, any scripture, and sit down. The first few times you do it, it'll probably take a couple hours. Be careful with it. Take your time. Keep the volume low, and you'll see what I mean. So, for the sake of this, let's just pick one here. What are we in? I don't even know. I was just in this link. So we'll go with this 1 Kings chapter 8. We'll go with a short one here. We'll go with 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 12. Then spoke Solomon, the Lord hath said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. Okay? So here's what we do. So first thing to understand is that Hebrew, you read backwards, So this right here is 12. That's the verse number. And then you read it like this, from right to left. So the first word is this. Now this is punctuation. And what you'll see is that it doesn't really matter if you copy the punctuation or not. The gematria figures out itself. So as you see, I'm on meccan.mamre.org. Just look up, go to this link. It's the best one. Write it down or whatever, and use that. Okay, and so then we copy this. And always, again, when you're working with Hebrew, copy right to left. Otherwise, you'll start to get really frustrated after a while when you're trying to copy long things. It doesn't work right. So copy right to left, Control C, and then we pop right in here, geometrics.org, and this thing does all the work for us, right? So we put this in, we calculate gematria, and this is going to give us the number. So that word in Jewish gematria is 8. This letter is valued 1, right? This letter is valued 7, so that totals 8. So we know the first word of this verse is the word then, loosely speaking, right? So the word then, and I don't want to take this too slow, but I don't want to go too fast either. The word then is a gematria value of 8, okay? So then all we do is we go to what I found here, and I hope my computer doesn't run too slow here. Sometimes I tell you, it's brutal. It's brutal. See, look at this. It's not responding. I reboot. I do all these things all day, and it's just brutal. It slows the way things work around me. It's just, look at this. It's crazy. The way things work around me, I work at probably 25% the pace of what I could if it wasn't for this absolute nonsense that I deal with. It's insane. Hopefully, once we get going in here, it'll speed up a little bit. I really apologize. I don't know what. It's slower than I've ever seen it. And I may just want to stop the video here and pick it up. So I'm going to do that. We'll stop, and then I'll just pick it up once this thing is doing what it needs. Oh, maybe it just did. Maybe it just did. Okay, so so what you need to generate a sine wave is what I'm using is NCH tone generator, and it's totally free. And so you just go in and you put in, it allows you to choose a frequency of 1 hertz to 22,000 hertz. Okay, basically the range of human hearing, basically. Okay, and so we'll go into here and we're going to change this to 8 because we want a frequency of 8, a sine wave of 8 for the word then. Okay, so we do that, and then all we do is we go here, we save it. If this goes too slow, I really apologize. I don't know, man. And it's all ready to go. Just wait here. We're in no rush, right? Oh, man. Yeah, it's been a wild ride, man. It has been a wild ride from the things God has been showing me, and this is one of the craziest ones. I mean, not crazy. It's amazing, you know. Okay, so then I'll just name it 8 hertz, right? Wave file. Save it. Normally, what I'll do is I'll just create it my own. I'll create a folder, you know, for that specific verse or whatever. Okay. So then what we're going to need is like a multi-track thing, because we're going to have to stack. We're going to have to stack sine waves on top of each other strategically, and I'll show you how to do that. So the first thing we'll want to do, let's just get rid of last night's video in there, and we're going to add, and I'll show you the program I'm using. We're going to add 8 hertz into here. So the program I'm using, again, is NCH software. It's the same thing. VideoPad Professional. And I use archaic stuff, man. I don't care. I don't pay for anything. I use what I can find for free that works and does what I need to do. I don't care about technology. I gave up on that a long time ago. But so you can get this for free. They do make you try to pay for a paid version and ask for a code. You can find those free codes anywhere to use. Just Google VideoPad, free registration code or whatever, and you'll find them all over the place. Okay, so we've got our 8 hertz. So we're going to drag this down into our audio track 1. Okay. Now, the first thing that we want to know is how long this is going to play. Okay, because the duration of how long each sine wave plays will literally play off of the next sine wave that comes in, or the next word, the next sound of the next word. And so if you were to leave this to play for, say, 8 seconds, and the next sine wave were to come in and layer on top of it, it would cause a different effect than if you were to let it play for, say, 3 seconds and then bring the new one in. So how do you know? Well, it's really simple. You count the letters. That's it. And the punctuation. So then is this letter and a comma. So if there's no comma, I would just do 2. I would do 2 seconds. Each letter is a second. But because there's a comma, I do 3 seconds. Okay? So I'll just go in here in my cursor, and I'll move this to the 3-second point right there. Right? That's all there is to it. Okay, so then I go to the next word, which is this. We'll copy this, and we'll get its number value, and it's 241. Okay? So we'll go back over here. Hopefully this is faster this time now that we've used it. We'll put in 241. And actually, I should increase this. So when you do this, you'll have to put in a Sine duration. Otherwise, you can't save the frequency as a file. So make sure you put in the duration. And I had it for 22,000 milliseconds. Actually, it's best to do it for about 220,000 milliseconds, because I think that's like 2 minutes, I think, ish. Okay, so then we'll just do this. This is 241. We'll save as a wave. Oh, man, this is probably so boring, huh? It is a boring process, but it's fun to build it. And what's fun is, like, when I first started doing it, every time I would put one on top of the other, I'd get so excited, and I wanted to see what that effect was going to be like and what that next word sounded like, you know. And so that's kind of what got my ears trained to hearing this stuff and hearing the intricacies of what's inside of it all, you know, building it slowly. I didn't just like create a whole file and then sit here and try to listen to it. I just listened to it as I built it. Okay, so then we'll go back over here, and we'll add our 241 hertz. And we've already moved our cursor to the 3-second point, because remember, we wanted this to play for 3 seconds. So we'll just drag this down here, tuck it right in where that is, and boom, you've got that. Looks like 22,000 or 220,000 is more like 4 minutes, but that's fine. You can always just zoop, suck that in, right? Okay, so then how long does that play for? So we're going to look at that one, and that's also going to play for, that's going to be 3 seconds. Right? So we'll go back down here, and just move our cursor to the 6-second part. Oh. And then we'll get to this word. Now this is the word right here, and then again, this is punctuation. So all we need is the word, but we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds for this. Just like that. So we'll copy that. Oop, I don't think I copied it. I must have not. It looked like the other word. I think I hit Control X. There we go. This one gives us 375. You know, we'll just do this whole one because it's so short. When I first started doing this, even this, because I mean, this was a huge learning curve for me. I was just learning this all from scratch and making mistakes here and there, and God kept redirecting me and showing me, no, Travis, you're overcomplicating it. It's so simple. But, you know, building these in the beginning when I started back in December, man, you know, they would take me hours and hours, and now it's just kind of like I can bang through them. It's so, what's interesting, I'll tell you this right now that you're kind of seeing what we're doing, right? What's interesting is God was showing me, you know, yeah, you can do verse to verse, but then of course, what if you want to do a string of verses? What if you wanted to do a whole chapter of the Bible or an entire book, you know? And so what's interesting about that, initially, so when I first started doing Genesis 1 through 5, I did it originally, and then I added on 6 through 8. So it's Genesis 1 through 8. But when I did 1 through 5, I was ignoring something really important when you do a series, and that is this, the verse number. So the verse number is only important if you're doing a series. You know, it's just like if you're just reading one verse, you're quoting one verse to somebody, you don't necessarily say 1, then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel, you know. But if you're reading the whole thing, so the 1 is important. And what I found out with Genesis 1 is Genesis 1 through 8 is that if I didn't include every It changed it dramatically. Starting, because this is simply a sine wave of 1, sine wave of 2, sine wave of 3 every time. You don't need to look these up. And you stick them in there for 1 second, right? A sine wave of 1. So when you start off Genesis 1, verse 1, and you're going to do 1, 1 through 2, or 1, 1 through 8, you do sine wave 1 for 1 second, then the word, you know? And then you get to this, you do sine wave 2 for 1 second. And it changes it a lot. It really brought a lot out. So that's an important thing to know for sure. I always get this. I never used Dropbox in my life, and it always tells me it's full. Okay, so now we go to this one. And I remember when I first started doing, this isn't a long word, but when you first start doing these, you see the long words, and you're like, oh, what's that frequency going to be? And it gets, maybe I'm just a frequency dork. I don't know. It used to get exciting for me. So I'm like, oh, that's going to be a really big number, and that's going to send this in a whole different direction, you know. So this is 26. What is this? Yeah, 26. This is a really low. If you notice, it's interesting. And this is how you'll see that it goes along the lines with what you're actually reading in the Word, because so far every word in this passage in the Scripture is a very low frequency. And what does the Scripture say? Thick darkness. You know, the Lord had said that he would dwell in thick darkness. So it's not surprising that the frequencies coming out of here are very low frequency. And I've done some healing scriptures and from the words of Christ and done those. Those are real amazing when you do like quotes from Christ and healing scriptures. Those are very high frequencies. They're really potent, amazing, but they're very high frequencies. So it's different. Now I lost my train. So I think we're on this word. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So how many? That was 26, which was already saved. 26 for 4 seconds. Oh, wrong one. So we got to add 26. I was really stressing out about doing this video because I didn't think I'd know how to explain it, but okay. We forgot to move this. So the last one, how many seconds was that supposed to play for? We're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's supposed to go for 5 seconds. So we were at 6, right? So we'll go to 11. Oh, I'm not on the right thing, but I know we need to be on 11. There we go. And then we'll bring 26. I'm wondering if I play this, if you'll be able to hear it. I don't think you will. I wish I could. Well, we'll try it. No, I don't hear anything. We'll see if you guys hear this. If not, whatever. But that's what it's doing so far, if you are hearing it. Okay, so this is something going on there for sure, right? So that is supposed to go for, what did we say? Which one did we just do? 1, 2, 3, 4 for 4 seconds. That's what I do all day long too. I'm constantly clicking on the wrong things. Whenever I'm complaining about electronics, is because I'm always struggling with electronics. I hate them. But it's what we have for now, right? Okay, so we got that done. Now we're going to do this word. And this is going to be for 4 seconds. And this is another 2. Didn't we just have 241? And you'll see that, they repeat each other all the time. We do. So we're back to 241. It's interesting. And Travis already forgot, because that's what Travis does, 4 seconds. Now, this is a very, very simple one. Okay. And then we got 2 more words to do here. And this one's going to be for 4 seconds. I'm sure I'm boring the living. But I just really want to show you the whole, the whole process. This is 400. See? 400. 30, 300, 20. It's so simple. It's no brainer, File, save as wave. 400. Boom. Back over. Like I said, when you get going on this, you can just fly through these once you understand what you're doing and why. Bring it down. Oh, missed it. All right, and then that was 4 seconds, right? Yeah, and so then 4 seconds. So we're at 23. And then the last word is right there. And that's going to be for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds, including the period. $382. So we never got much above 400 in this whole thing. This is a really low frequency scripture. Lowest I've seen, actually. Sometimes you're up in the thousands, you know, in the high thousands sometimes. 382. Bring it in. And then after this, I'll just briefly show you how to do it in Greek. It's just one added step. It takes a little bit longer to do in Greek, but it's just one little added step. So there you go. And that would play for 6 seconds. So I'd go, and then to finish him off, so I'll just go to 29 seconds. So this whole scripture is 29 seconds. Then I'll just bring this all the way in, because you don't really want to play it after. You want to stop it. You don't want to keep playing that tone, because it's just going to go on forever. You want to actually hear the scripture, and the scripture doesn't go on forever. It stops with the period, right? So just bring everything in. And I'm gonna play this for 29 seconds. And if you guys don't hear it, or if it doesn't, I've never used this screen recorder before. This is brand new to me. So I'm pretending I'm like a real YouTuber, you know, recording my screen. I'll bring that in. This one wasn't long enough. I should have had this one, you know, the 220,000 milliseconds when I record. So here we go. So this is it. Wait, this doesn't look like it has anything in it. What's going on there? Something didn't happen right. I want to copy, paste. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to play it. If you hear it, you hear it. If you don't, you don't. I'm going to hear it because I want to. Cool. And I hope you hear that. The ending was very cool. Very cool. You just hear you hear the sound of our creator. It's just so cool. I just love it. And so at this point, you know, you just save the file, or if you don't want to, but there's many different tools you can use to build, you know, multi-track recordings. This just happens to be the one I used for my videos, and I was just too lazy to look for another multi-track recorder, and I didn't really want to dig into like my stuff I use for recording music and stuff. So I just use this. It's the simplest way to do it. Now for Greek, you go here. This is the link. You want to write that down. It's the best one I found. And so the only difference with this, shoot, I don't think I have a scripture in Greek. Let me pull up. What should I pull up in Greek? Let's see. Matthew. Let's do 10:22 in Greek. I just want to find the actual Greek. It's funny I picked that. You will be hated by all. I didn't even know what Matthew 10:22 is. I'm not one of these people that can just, I don't know how these preachers sometimes, man, they're up there and they're just like rattling off this scripture and this scripture and this scripture. I'm like, man, that's how do you remember all those specific, you know, numbers of scriptures and stuff? Right off the bat, I know Kai. I know and is always 21. I always know that. But so this isn't what I want. I want to see an actual scripture. This is all breaking it down and stuff, whatever. But these are the Greek words for Matthew 10:22. Okay, so to do the isosophy translation, you can't in this calculator. Like isosophy is not. You hear people talking about gematria all the time, and I didn't discover isosophy until I was doing the Hebrew translations, because I knew what gematria was. I'm like, there's got to be something like that for Greek, for the New Testament. And God's like, isosophy. I was like, never heard of it. And I looked it up. I'm like, sure enough, it's a thing, But you can't just, in this calculator, and you could tell this thing's probably been out here since 1998, you can't just copy in this. Watch, you have to copy. Actually, this is helpful, because what I was doing, when you just look at a scripture, boy, this will save a step. This specific link here, actually, it gives the actual, because what it wants you to do is you have to use the beta code for the Greek alphabet. In other words, you don't use these letters, these letters that we don't recognize. You use the beta code. These are the beta code. So like this, I don't know if it's actually pronounced Chi, but that's how I say it. Greek is a fascinating language, man. I was, back in early January, mid-January, I was really diving into Greek and the pronunciations and listening to pronunciations of these words. And it's such a beautiful language, and to think of the words, the beauty of these words coming out of the mouth of Christ, just blew my mind. So we go like this. So this is the beta code. Oh, we want this one. We'll pop that in. Right away it tells us, oh, it's 31. I said 21. See, it's been a while since I've done this, so it's 31. So we would do the same thing and go to our tone generator. Then we'll take this one, you will be. So this word means you will be. And we look and see that. And that one's 723. And on and on and on, And again, it's the same thing. Number of seconds it plays is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just simple number of letters, including punctuation in the sentence. And see, that's why this, I don't know. Yeah, this does give commas. This does give commas. This word comes up for me all the time. This Greek word, all the time. I'm seeing it everywhere. And it means having endured. It's crazy. Anyway, so that's how it's done. It's really not that hard. and so what I think is very real. I think it's definitely God showing us, a new way of hearing the word. That and maybe this is kind of why I want to put this video out there, because I haven't seen anybody else doing this stuff. And I could be missing things. I don't know much about gematria. I just know it's a thing, and every word has a number, and every number translates to a sound, a sine wave. A sign. It's a sign, S-I-N-E. It's a sign. It's like a sign from God. Look at my word. It has sound. It's unbelievable. So, but if there's things that you see, if you decide to start looking into doing this, and you're like, wait a minute, Travis, I think this makes more sense here, and whatnot, let me know. Let me know what you learn. This is a learning curve. Or volumes. Like, I don't know about volumes. There could be something about volumes of each sine wave that I'm not understanding yet, because I'll leave them flat. Every one I put in, I leave just a flat sine wave, 100% flat. I don't adjust anything. So maybe that, with each sine wave that comes in, maybe some need to be louder, some need to be quieter, and it might, I don't know. But if you see something like that, or you really understand Greek or gematria or isosophy, and you're seeing something deeper than I'm seeing, by all means, like, explore with it, talk to God, ask God, and maybe together we can really figure something out that's even cooler than I thought. So anyway, that's what I do. That's what I've done. I haven't done this in a while, in about a month, but I wanted to let you know how to do it, because why would I keep something like that to myself, So there you go. I hope you enjoyed, and we will speak soon. Peace.